So the controversy over the great books, okay? The great books is the greatest books of the Western world, but who the fuck come up with this shit, right? So this is actually going to be, hey, take a look, St. John's College. Y'all ain't perfect, okay? So essentially this guy, right? Adler, something Adler, Mortimer Adler, or Adler. So Mortimer Adler, he actually comes up with 100 of two great ideas, as many as 75 or more great ideas, a few to all 172. I don't know. 102 great ideas is where the great books come from. So actually, if we want to check out what are the ideas that he was trying to promote, that's more important. The ideas are more important than the book, right? So we don't need to, I don't know, pontificate, or we don't need to sort of, put these books on some sort of shrine to worship them. If the idea is the important thing, okay? So, fuck the person. The idea is what is worth talking about. Anyways, there's the controversy of the great books was that this guy, Mortimer Adler, okay? So here's a picture of Mortimer Adler, right? Big, chunky jowls, got that Richard Nixon hair going on. Here he's looking at somebody with, condemnation. You are clearly stupid, and I am clearly way better than you. Mortimer Adler says, well, he quotes Freud's views that all love is sexual in its origins or its basis. Even those loves which do not appear to be sexual or erotic have a sexual root or core. They are all sublimations of the sexual instinct. Okay, he's basically attacking, actually, Sigmund Freud. So if he disagrees with Sigmund Freud, is Sigmund Freud going to be on the great books? Let's take a look. Because eventually he does make a list of how to read a book, and these are all the books that he had thought, was worthy of listing. Some shit just, works. Archimedes, his works. And he lived a whole life, any and everything he fucking wrote. Yes, everything that motherfucker wrote. So let's see. We were talking about Mortimer Adler, and we were going to check to see if he's got Sigmund Freud. I'm not seeing Sigmund Freud. Doesn't mean he's not. Yeah, here it is. The Interpretation of Dreams. I read The Interpretation of Dreams. It was a badass little fucking book. Essentially, it's just wish fulfillments, okay? When you wanted that ice cream cone when you was a kid, you went to sleep and woke up and you dreamed about that ice cream cone. It's just something that you wanted. That's why you dreamed it. Anyways. So, this is motherfucking Mortimer Adler. So, fuck this racist fucking piece of shit. This fucking piece of shit's totally fucking backwards and fucking stupid. Look at his stupid ass fucking glasses, his stupid ass fucking smirks. Oh, look, I'm on the fucking picture of this fucking magazine. Yeah, okay, little Nixon motherfucking anti-pseudo-intellectual fucking piece of shit. Anyways, he did come up with a great books idea, okay? That's the idea, the concept is still a good ass fucking idea. Because only through the great ideas can, a common sort of culture, whatever, can we progress as a nation. So Mortimer Adler, his 102, ideas is all he was talking about. Eventually he says, if one wants another only for some self-satisfaction, usually in the form of sensual pleasure, that wrong desire takes the form of lust rather than love. Wow, Mortimer Adler, fucking adding, his 2 cents. The ethnic composition of Mortimer J. Adler's great books list was controversial in some academic circles, as was his response to accompanied criticism. Some fellow academics characterized the list as ethnically exclusive. Henry Louis Gates. Again, we're seeing Henry Louis Gates. Henry Louis Gates is the police officer that Barack Obama, or the guy, the black Harvard professor who was trying to get into his own house by breaking into his own house, and then him and a police officer got into it, and Barack Obama had said that the police officer had acted stupidly. And that's what Giuliani is talking about now, that Barack Obama is preaching hate to the police. Yeah, he's not a fucking strict-ass, stupid, fucking fascist like fucking Rudy Giuliani, that fake-ass motherfucker, man. He is so fucking, he is plastic. Fucking hate that piece of shit. The way he opens his eyes. Well, the way I think about things. Yeah, your eyes are creepy. So basically, Henry Louis Gates is sitting there. He's a Harvard professor. I've seen lots of his videos in Latin America. He's going to the Caribbean. He's talking about black history all over the place. So he's saying the assembly of the list showed a profound disrespect for the intellectual capacities of people of color, red, brown, and yellow. Others, such as E.D. Hurst Jr., claimed the great books of the Western World project was inherently unnecessary, saying that an understanding of shared culture items within books is more important than reading them. Adler was asked in a 1990 interview with the LA Times why his great books of the Western world list did not include more non-whites and non-Europeans. He attributed the lack of Latino authors to the lack of recommendations by Mexican Poet Committee member Octavio Paz and the lack of black authors to a lack of books good enough to fit the criteria. And in the face of criticism, Adler maintained the ethnic quotas were irrelevant to the subject. So he's basically saying the triumph of the idea, but there's also a white supremacist just fucking stink on all this shit. So the two colleges, they're alternative college and they're better fucking schools because they have advisors, they provoke actual discussion, and then their tests are oral, so they have to just talk about the ideas. You want to know if your students actually learn the shit that you fucking taught them? Talk to them. But unfortunately, with the 100% domination that the American school system is teaching today, they want to fucking crush them. They don't want to respect them, and to actually have to talk to somebody would mean you have to respect them as an individual. And we all know it's true that if they'll hang you on something you didn't do, they'll definitely fucking hang you on something that you did. So, carrying on, Mortimer Adler, the Great Books Program, he's a fucking racist, fuck Mortimer Adler. But do keep thinking about the great books. I'm going back and forth with the sort of thinking about, the different alternative education systems. There's a Montessori education system, then you got Reggio Emilia, Sugata Mitra, Jean-Jacques Rousseau is basically the leading theorist of all that I think about. Emile, you want to teach. He says the only book that you give to his baby boy is Robinson Crusoe. That encourages their creativity and their sense of wonder, and then they'll just want to do whatever they want to do, right? They'll follow their instincts and don't hurt anybody. So for the first 10 years, they just get to be whoever they want to be and not to hurt anybody. Now, Reggio Emilia and Montessori education pretty much, rest on that foundation. All the alternative education models is saying, giving freedom to the child. Montessori's quote is, follow the child, right? The child knows what it wants best, okay? So follow what they want. Montessori education is an educational approach developed by Italian physician and educator Maria Montessori, characterized by an emphasis on independence, freedom within limits, and respect for a child's natural, psychological, physical, and social development. Although a range of practices exist under the name Montessori, the Association Montessori International and the American Montessori Society cite these elements as essential. Mixed age classrooms, classrooms for children ages 2.5 or 3 to 6 years by mother. Okay, so it's a constructivist and discovery type of model, right? So you want whatever you want to study is what you want to study. Whatever you want to learn is what you want to learn. What I want to learn a little bit about is the Higgs Boson. The Higgs Boson, the so-called God particle. Stephen Hawkins is warning everybody. He's sitting there saying the God particle, the Higgs Boson, something that they had just, or Higgs Boson, I don't know. People are like, you're saying it wrong. I don't give a shit. It's a fucking God particle. And the God particle could wipe out the entire fucking universe. So that's, Stephen Hawkins basically agrees that they found the God particle. They found the God particle. Yeah, so these fucking, fucking psychos, they're acting like there's something else, So Stephen Hawking says the God particle could wipe out the universe. He says that he's warned us that aliens could destroy us, and he says that artificial intelligence could do the same. The Terminator is real. The fears about the machines coming up and rising against us is very real. Aliens could destroy us. We get hit by an asteroid. The global war. There's so many fucking things that nuclear war would destroy us all. And so there's so many actually, horrible, catastrophic fucking scenarios that are possible for the entire fucking planet Earth. Not just Americans are fucking anxious. I would assume the entire fucking world's pretty anxious. So Stephen Hawking, he's sitting there just talking about the criticism is how you can learn about the Higgs boson. Okay, the way I understand the Higgs boson is that you have an entire dimension, and the only way matter and air and the solid liquids, the only way that all the stuff of the universe could take shape is to borrow from the dimension, a particle of the dimension. And that it's like, I don't know, yin and yang or something, right? You have to have nothingness in order to have something. I don't know. But essentially, it's the God particle. It encompasses all around us, And it says that we derive our entity from, that empty space, this shit around us. So, anyways, it's a really tiny ass fucking particle, and it's based on the standard theory model of something or another. So, the Stephen Hawking God particle may wipe out the universe, right? So he says that the perceiving a threat that might not merely put an end to Earth but to the whole universe. As the UK Sunday Times reports, Hawking is worried about the God particle this discovered by physicists during experiments with CERN's Large Hadron Collider, a vital ingredient to explain why things in the world have mass. However, in a preface to a new book called Starmus, a collection of lectures given by famous scientists and astronomers, Hawking worried that the Higgs Boson might become unstable. He wrote, all right, everybody ready? Everybody taking notes? This is the sentence. Stephen Hawkins. This is what fucking Mortimer Adler would be totally fucking against. He didn't want to put any of the contemporary books in there because he wanted it to be like a fucking nostalgic past, like a time of renaissance and thinking and great wonder or something. So maybe there is something that, maybe Mortimer Adler is actually the fucking in-between period, right? He's, look at how they studied and did all their shit and stuff, and they fucking failed. They didn't do their jobs. They fucked up. They fucked our world. They give a fucking upside down world to us. So we gotta write this upside down world, and we gotta write this upside down world by taking the good ideas of all good ideas, whether they were said today, yesterday. In fact, it doesn't matter what, whose mouth a good idea comes out of. If the time is right for the good idea, the time is right. It doesn't matter who the fuck says it, right? If somebody robs somebody and someone says, hey, catch that man, does it matter if the person who said catch that man is a murderer himself? My point being is that a good idea, to catch that man if he took something that wasn't his to make sure he gets justice, that is a good idea, and good ideas should be recognized for their own inherent value. The Higgs potential has a worrisome feature that it might become metastable at energies above 100 BN, giga electron volts. So he's saying that he acknowledges the God particle was found. The God particle, so that's the thing that makes up everything. The Higgs' potential has the worrisome feature that it might become metastable at energies above 100 BN giga electron volts, GeV. What might this lead to? Hawkins explained this could mean that the universe could undergo catastrophic vacuum decay with a bubble of the true vacuum expanding at the speed of light. This could happen at any time and we wouldn't see it coming. Before you prepare your loved ones for an evacuation to some distant star, Hawking did offer some hope with, it seems, awry smile. A particle accelerator that reaches 100 BN GeV would be larger than Earth and is unlikely to be funded in the present economic climate. So for some reason, this tiny ass little fucking, particle, if you was to heat it at energies above 100 BN giga electron volts, not even heat it, electrocute it, right? Does heat come from electricity? Probably. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Heat is something different than electric, right? So at giga electron volts, and the only way you can get a 100 BN giga electron volts would be to have one that is larger than Earth. So you'd have to have a particle accelerator that is larger than Earth. So particle accelerators, how they're sitting there doing this quantum physics or quantum mechanics. But Einstein did say in quantum mechanics that God doesn't play dice. Whether you believe in God, it doesn't matter. God doesn't play dice just means there is a intelligent design to the whole thing. Meaning that the math could probably figure it all out. Science, physics, logic, it could all figure it out. It can all be figured out. So that's Stephen Hawkins, right? He also wrote A Brief History in Time, popular science book written by a British physicist. I think we should, I would put A Brief History of Time into the Great Books program, because A Brief History of Time is fucking genius. It is absolutely fucking it makes it, these are the leading ideas about, everything. Black holes, colliding black holes. What would happen if one black hole hit another black hole? You know, these are, you know, this spurs the fucking creativity and imagination. Remember, we choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. The only equation that Stephen Hawking actually put into his book was the mass energy equivalence. In physics, mass energy equivalence is the concept of the mass of an object or system as a measure of its energy content. For instance, add 25 kilowatt hours megajoules of any form of energy to any object increases its mass by 1 microgram, and accordingly its inertia and weight, even though no matter has been added. So that's pretty, you know, the concept of the mass of an object or system is the measurement of its energy. Mass equals energy. You cannot destroy or take away energy without it transferring into something, you know, one or the other. And because of that, that's Einstein's quote, right? Or his equation. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Which is why, like a nuclear bomb, you get all that energy just from splitting an atom. And I don't know if it's just like one atom or like a host of atoms, but it can't be that much, you know, stuff can make a fucking explosion like that. It's incredible. E equals mc squared. I think I want to end it off on this. It's a nice short little 15-minute video. But the great book's controversy, that son of a bitch ain't that fucking smart. He thinks he's fucking smarter than everybody, but Mortimer Adler. And I do have, you know, Montessori and Reggio Emilia, they have their issues, but they're better, you know, than the current 100% domination schools. Reggio Emilia says that children have 100 languages. And we all do have 100 languages, and we should try to speak 100 languages. Follow the child. Put them two together. Montessori and Reggio Emilia. If you follow the child has 100 languages. That means everybody has 100 languages. And everybody should be practicing all 100 languages. All avenues of communication. How they talk, how they show people, how they care. They should work on all 100 ways. So, I guess, fuck Mortimer Adler. That racist son of a bitch. All Western civilization seems like it's just one big white supremacist apologist perspective. That's all it is. One big ass white supremacist apologist perspective. They even stole Egypt. Pretend Egypt was white. No, it's black. Okay, Egypt is black. All civilization came, you know, Greeks and the Romans got their shit from Egypt. All those gods, Saturnalia and all those gods, you know, all those customs and shit. Kings, queens, empires, civilization, farming. Egypt. Egypt made the fucking pyramids. Egypt's the cradle of fucking humanity. Or the Middle East is. Egypt is. Africa. Because the first, you know, Lucy, they found a fucking old ass skeleton named Lucy in Africa. And I think they said that's the oldest hominid skeleton, you know, around. So check that out. That's something, right?